All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kofi Ashley, and we're thrilled to have Nagwa as our guest today on our Faith Conversations podcast. Nagwa, welcome.
Thank you.
So, just to let you know, this podcast is geared toward talking about how our faith influences our life, our decisions, our work, and our relationships. So, down the line, we're going to get deeper into that. Okay.
Okay.
But before that, let me just ask you, have you always lived in the Poconos?
No, my parents moved up here from when I was 6 years old.
From where?
From, well, Brooklyn. It's easier to say that.
Yeah, Brooklyn, right? Everybody comes from Brooklyn.
Yeah. Which is sad because it's really pretty cool now.
Okay. So how did you guys end up here?
My father had worked on the ships and they were looking to build a house. They started out in New Jersey. The houses were cheaper, but the taxes were a lot more. And this was the first, I grew up in Delaware Water Gap, and that was the first stop in the Poconos.
That's great. That's great. Then how about East Stroudsburg United Methodist Church?
My husband's family had been members for years, and I started attending with my sister-in-law and just kind of stayed.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So now tell us about your career path. That was something that I wanted to check into.
So once upon a time, I started out in architecture, and I still love buildings, different features, that sort of stuff. I didn't like the finer work, as in having to cut balsa wood and cardboard, and I had to come up with something that I would want to major in, and I had to think quick. So I said, people always came up and talked to me, psychology. And I switched over to psych, went to grad school. I love the classes. I'm not the most patient person, so sitting there and talking to people was not what I wanted. I kind of backed off and went to work in the hospital and really enjoyed it, but things had changed, so it was time to get a full-time job. My kids were bigger, and I applied to, I took my county test, and I had a choice. I picked mental health because it was the Goodwill Agency, and I was glad I did.
Nice. So getting into, psychology and counseling, did something surprise you? Did you, when you got in and started working, were there surprises? Or is that what you had expected?
No, it was pretty much kind of, well, short of the counseling piece and not being very patient, I found out things about myself as far as what I like doing. I like change. I don't like sticking to one thing, and probably one of my diagnoses is ADHD. Yeah, even at my age. But I like to help people. I like to help different people. I like being out in the community, and yeah, I enjoy that.
That's wonderful. So usually, you started a new job, and is that the same things that you're doing?
It's kind of a new old job because I had worked there years ago. I was actually hoping to work part-time, but it kind of worked out as far as the full-time. And yes, it's very similar to what I've done in the past.
Wonderful. So, as I mentioned, faith is also very pivotal in our conversations here and how that affects the things we do. So tell us about your faith journey.
Well, I grew up in a house that had 3 religions. My mother was born Jewish. I of course, was born Jewish. Did the ethnic thing as far as the father who raised me was Muslim. And I believed in God very strongly, even when I was young. It's just when you're a part of the Muslim religion, it's Arabic, and I didn't speak Arabic. So I kind of struggled as far as like reciting the prayers, but them not having meaning, because I wanted to have a meaningful relationship with God. That was important to me.
Okay. But how does that all evolve and you becoming a Christian?
Oh, okay. How did I? I think as far as like the relationship with Christ, being able to just talk, to pray, to read the Bible and understand it, to me, that was very important. Fortunately, along the way, when I was little, I did attend Bible school. I attended church with friends, and I felt something there.
Okay.
That moved me.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
It's kind of hard to say as far as like it's the relationship. You have a relationship. It's a real relationship where you can go to God and speak to him. And I have been blessed in many ways. I could have died a few times just because I'm an idiot and like to do stupid things.
Wow.
And, oh yeah, a couple of times with drowning.
Okay.
And one time was with two of my kids. And it was strange. Riptide came in. We were just walking out. It had been at our knees. And all of a sudden it came over us. And my daughter was pushing down on me. And the funny part was she was the strongest swimmer. But when I looked up between my two children, I saw this bright light. Mm. And I don't know how I did it, but I pushed them up and all of a sudden the water was gone.
Amazing.
And yeah, so I'm sure I've tested God, not intentionally, but I knew he's been there.
That's wonderful. So you feel with those moments, God was with you and your faith came through during those times.
Yes, even though at the moment I might not have been thinking about it, when you look back sometimes, because I kind of talk about a walk when I'm working with people, that sometimes you position yourself and look back on your life and see different things that have occurred, and that's when you kind of put it together.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, in life, as you all know, sometimes you have challenges too that test your faith. Have there been times that your faith have been tested and you've had those struggles to, work in your life?
I think with my father being a Muslim and having certain beliefs, there were times that it could have driven me away, and I really questioned it. But I think there also came times where I kind of was able to reveal myself, and I think it was a God thing that again, like anyone else, I've not always made the best choices in my life, but something held me together, and I have to account for that.
That's wonderful. And you attribute that to God and your faith and things like that. That's great. That's great. So you also, do help a lot around the church, give your time and give your talents to support the church in different areas. Now, where does that come from? And what do you attribute that to, or how can you explain that to us?
I think our purpose on earth is actually to help. It's not always about ourselves. And not that I'm the most gifted person, but I think if I can assist someone, no matter what it is, because even when I was raising my kids, we had a business. And I said, even if you do one small thing, it's one less thing that I have to do. And it just makes it easier. I think when we go through life and we support each other, it does make it easier. It doesn't always seem it, but I think having people there and knowing that they're there is a blessing.
It's a blessing. Now, you also chair the missions team and the outreach team and things like that. I know it was fun when we did the pickle me Poconos and things like that. But share a little bit about, the missions and what you do over there.
Missions now is kind of quieter. It's more of supporting our partners. We're in the process of considering traveling to Barbados. Two of our members are going down, and they'll see what we could offer as far as being assistance. And I think it's been slow with getting missions on the ground again. The makeup of our team has changed over the years, and we're moving a little slower. But I hopefully we'll start to build up again, where we can kind of recruit more members. And even if we just go out in the community, because one of the things we actually did, and even though it seems small, was like when we helped clean up East Stroudsburg, you notice a difference. So I think caring about where you live, and I think it's going to start going back to that, the way things are going. It's going to be, how can you support your community, the people in your community? What are their needs?
That's great. That's great. So what are some things that bring you joy? You like any hobbies that you like to do?
Walking. I walk a lot. In fact, I thought I was going to be late because I was out walking. What else? I like traveling. I like seeing places. Not that I always get to, but I got to go cross country this summer and went to some states that I hadn't visited in the past. So that was pretty neat. Michigan was beautiful. I was really surprised.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What did you find beautiful there?
I am not good with the lakes. I think it was Lake Michigan that I drove along, and it happened to be sunrise, so it was really pretty. And going to Mackinac Island. I would like to get to Canada. I don't know if I'll be accepted. But I had family that's out in Whitefish, Montana, which is really an incredible part of the country. So, yeah.
That's great. You have any favorite restaurants or things that you do, that you go to that you want to share about?
Food I'm not that impressed with.
Okay.
I mean, so my daughter and her husband asked me what was my favorite meal that I had when I was out there with them. I told them biscuits. And they had gotten me a crab, so I'm sure it sounded ungrateful. But no, I think I like the experience. I just like to see things. That makes me happy.
That's wonderful. Well, I mean, you've seen some of the episodes we've had on this podcast, and the whole thing is to use your life to inspire others, because people are going to be watching this and they're going to be listening and seeing Nagwa talking to us and expressing how faith, affect their lives. So if somebody is listening and watching this, what is one thing or two things that you like to share that they can take away and say, well, I can live by this, or I can, be inspired by this.
Don't be afraid to help someone. It might be really difficult, but they might really need you. I think we're all here for each other. If we were meant to be alone, we'd have our own planet. But I think God put us here all together for a reason. And I think we make a big deal sometimes out of the wrong things.
Huh. Now, what would that be? What, give me an example?
I think that's more of a value base as far as what do you really value, and relationships should be valued more, whether it's your relationship with God, your relationship with other people, but kind of putting them in order and having good boundaries too.
Yeah.
So.
Boundaries are really, really important.
Yes, they are.
I'm glad you brought that. And sometimes when you're talking about boundaries, depending on how you approach the boundaries, that can be misconstrued too.
Yes, it absolutely can. I think knowing what you feel comfortable with, and a lot of people have fears, and I think you have to kind of get past those fears but know what scares you and know where you feel comfortable.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nagwa, for coming on the podcast, Faith Conversations podcast. Any last words you want to, part with, or, just let people know before we wrap up?
Perception is personal. That I will say. We all have our own perceptions. So, but don't expect your perception to be the same as someone else's.
Okay. Okay. Your perception cannot be somebody's reality, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Nagwa,
Thank
for
you,
coming.
too.
We really appreciate the conversation. And thanks again for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay.